Hi, this is Evan here, Molendinarius, from the Latinum Institute. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to learn Latin online without spending very much money at all. Most people that want to learn Latin hit a roadblock because there are very few places where they can learn Latin, so they have to teach themselves. On YouTube, I have a number of courses, and you can find them if you go to my Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Latinum, Latinum. So patreon.com/Latinum. And if you look at the About page there, you will find that I've linked my YouTube channel, this channel that you're now on, and I've linked the Latin courses that I've got for free on YouTube. There's one course that's Latin taught in Latin with no English at all. It slowly builds up step by step, so you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and that's got 4 parts to it and about 300 very short lessons, each lesson not more than 3 to 4 minutes, because I'm only teaching in Latin, so it's quite hard, so they can't be too long, and I've got lots of props, etc. to help. Then there's something called the London Latin Course, which is similar to that, but I also have introduced English to it, and that follows the system developed by Jean Manesca and transposed into Latin, where each short lesson only teaches one thing at a time. If you're interested in further developing your Latin and you want to really throw yourself into it, and you don't find the sound of my voice too annoying, then I suggest you go and subscribe to my Patreon, and there you'll find many hundreds, maybe thousands, I've actually lost count, of hours of Latin audio, including the Adler Latin audio course, which is a complete Latin audio course using a semi-conversational method that also includes lots of Latin grammar, but teaches in a more user-friendly way than most Latin courses. That's got almost 200 hours of audio just in that course alone. And then there's other material for helping you learn vocabulary. Lots and lots of material that's in Latin, English Latin, phrase by phrase, so you can learn. And all of the material, all of it, can be used without actually opening a book. It's been designed specifically so you can put your earbuds in, your earphones in, and go out for a walk, do the dishes, I don't know, whatever you want to do, go to the gym, or just sit on the sofa and try not to fall asleep, and study the Latin. All the textbooks I've used are all out of copyright. I've made a point of that, and they are all available online for free. So I've made links to those, and there are some materials I've written myself as well. And for Adler, there's the added benefit that there are materials that have been developed by the users of the course. And this includes a series of Closemaster games with about 7,000 of these, all using the material in the Adler course with little multiple choice tests so you can test yourself. There's a link to that on the Adler page. If you go to patreon.com/Latinum and you go to the streaming catalog and click on Adler, you'll find a link to those things there, the Closemaster games. There's also a full set of Anki flashcards developed by another user of the textbook, and a rewrite of Adler's exercises also available. So that's the subsidiary material, apart from the actual audio course itself and the textbook, which is available on Google Books, and the key to the exercises also available on Google Books. The Adler course is something that's quite close to my heart because I rediscovered Adler's text early, around about 2005 or so. I was looking for specific materials for learning Latin in a conversational, modern style way. And I came across, Google had scanned this text by someone called George Adler, and I asked around, and nobody had heard of it. The Google scan at this point was in terrible conditions. About every fourth or fifth page was illegible. Anyway, I photocopied the entire text, printed it out, and then went about by hand trying to rectify the illegible sections. And I contacted the British Library and went to the databases of libraries online to find out where the hard copy of this text was. I found there was one copy in the British Library, and in the entire world database of libraries, I could find 9 copies of Adler. So the text had fallen off the edge of a cliff, so to speak, a linguistic literary cliff. Everyone had forgotten it existed completely until Google, fortuitously, scanned it. So what I started to do then was to convert it into audio on what was then known as the Latinum podcast, which was hosted by a company called mypodcast.com, and that went belly up during the big crash in 2008, and everything disappeared into the ether. But people started to access the book on Google because I was referencing it. And then I wrote to Google and said, look, can you please rescan this text that's being used? And a few months later, a rescanned version of Adler appeared on Google Books. And that's the version that we have now. Nice, clear and crisp. Used by thousands and thousands of people. Adler would have been overjoyed, although he did die 1 year after the book was published. And he died forgotten. 4 people went to Adler's funeral. So he died completely forgotten. And the labor that he put into this book was immense. It's an enormous undertaking. Possibly one of the most comprehensive Latin textbooks ever written, and extremely pedantic in the details of the grammar, but at the same time light on its feet. So it achieves something that is very unusual to find in Latin textbooks. If you go to patreon.com/Latinum, I invite you to have a look at the catalogs. There's a streaming catalog, and there is a download catalog. And on those catalogs you can find all the material that I have produced. So I hope you find that useful, and get on with learning your Latin.